Then come to the voting poll, proxy, etc. That is also content of the article association. Voting is there, voting act is there, that is available to the members of the company or shareholders of the company to say yes or no in meeting by showing of hands, or voting by poll is there, proxy is there. Sometimes proxy is allowed to vote on behalf of you. So there are certain voting procedures are there, polling procedures are there, voting by show of hands, voting by ballot paper is there, voting by video conferencing is there, online voting is there, voting by proxy is also there. So proxies they are presenting on behalf of the members, sometimes proxy is allowed. So there are certain procedures involved in that, and that is mentioned in the articles and section of the company. And dividend and reserves. Dividend reserves is also important aspect of the company, because company pays a dividend to the shareholders of the company, and the company keeps general reserve for the future contingencies, emergencies, and for the future plans, expansion plans, expansion plans. So for that, company keep reserves, keep make provisions and reserves for future contingencies, emergencies, and for the upcoming future plans, for the expansion plans of the company, diversification plans of the company, or any other to start a new business venture. For the reserves is required to discontinue old business venture, for discontinuation, for continuation, for addition. Reserve is very important. How to company keep reserves for their certain unexpected emergencies and unavoidable circumstances which is coming in the business. We have to keep reserve for that. From our profits, yes, we have to make provisions for reserves, general reserves. Then the procedures for winding up of the company, and that is also mentioned in the area of the company, the procedures for the winding up of the company. Then come to the contents of articles of association. That content includes also borrowing powers of board of directors and managers. That is also mentioned in the content section of the AO. The borrowing powers of BOA and managers of the company, and the minimum subscription that is mentioned in the A of the company, the amount of minimum subscription of share capital of the company, that is still mentioned. In the A of the company for its members. And there are certain rules regarding use and custody of common seal. There are certain conditions regarding the how to use and who protect the custody of common seal. Common seal is it is so important for the company, and that makes it any document a valid document. Without common seal, document is not valid. Common seal is very important for the company to sign the product documents of the company. It should be fixed with the common seal of the company, and that makes the document a valid document. And the rules and regulations regarding conversion of fully paid shares into stock, that is also mentioned in the contents of articles of association. The rules and regulations regarding conversion of fully paid shares of the company into a stock. This is also content. This is also content of of the company. And there's lean on shares. Lean on shares, the conditions on lean on shares, the procedures involved in lean on shares, and also mentioned as a content of articles of association of the company. Then complete difference between MOA and A of the company. MOA is the memorandum of association of the company. AO is the articles of association of the company, and there is a difference between these two documents. very important document. You can say charter of the company, you can say is the bylaws of the company, or you can say constitution of the company that defines the company towards third party, towards the public. And these are two important documents by which you promote yourself, inform yourself, update the public about yourself. That we are here in this company. We are going to start this company with this objective in the mind. There's certain difference between the company, as in what documentary evidence of the company. We submitted a copy of these two documents to the ROC of the company for the purposes of the incorporation of the company. So there are certain key differences between the MOA and Articles of Association, and lies in respective roles and content within the company constitution. So there are many distinctions on the basis of purpose. The purpose is the objective, you can say, and the purpose you can say why this form, why is the need for MOA of the company? Because without which company cannot be formed. So this is required to form a company, to give a life to the company, to give a birth to the company. So for which purpose MOA is formed? MOA outlines the company fundamental objectives and the scope of its activities, that defines your domain, that defines your limitations, beyond which you cannot go, that defines your boundaries within which you have to go, within which you have to grow yourself, expand yourself, diversify yourself, and that defines your area of your activities, scope of your activities, fundamental activities. It defines the company external relationship and act as a contract between the company and the outside world. That is a part of the MOA of the company. So MOA define your purposes, define your relationship between the company and your members. The outside world. Outside world includes your the prospective investors of the company, the bankers of the company, the income tax authorities of the company, the capital market, the stock market, the labor market. These are outside the world. By these two documents, you inform yourself, you promote yourself, that you are in this business, particular business, you are having this much capital, you are having this much liability, for which your members are bound to pay. If it is not paid, if it is unpaid, any of its members, they are only liable to pay a particular extent. That is mentioned in the MOA of the company, the liability of its members. Then Articles of Association. Article provides detailed rules and regulations for the internal management of the company, internal governance and administration of the company, and this lays down the procedures for the appointment of directors, for the distribution of the shares, distribution of share capital, any other, you can see securities, debentures are there, bonds are there, so mutual funds are there. That is mentioned in the articles. The procedure in respect of the distributions of, you can say, securities of the company, and how you conduct your board meetings, how you conduct the statutory meetings of the company and general meetings of the company. That is mentioned in procedures for the meetings and the article session. In respect to the notices issued, in respect to the conducting of meetings, in respect to filing of the minutes of the meeting with the ROC of the company. These procedural guidelines are mentioned in the articles of association of the company, and the appointments of directors and distribution of shares, appointment of directors, there are certain qualifications is required, disqualification points are there, removal of directors, certain conditions where directors removed, their elimination. This is mentioned in the articles of association of the company, and distribution of shares is also mentioned in terms of number of equity shares, number of preference shares, number of right shares, number of owner shares. That is mentioned in the articles of association of the company. Then difference between MOA on the basis of scope. So memorandum of association, it covers broader aspect, including the company name, registered office, objects, liability clause, and capital clause. So it covers your broader aspects, including your name of the company, registered office of the company, objects of the company, liability clause of the company, and capital clause of the company. That these points to be included, these clauses to be included into the MOU of the company. That specify these clauses in detail, the name, the company names, and the name of the head office of the company, the objectives of the company, the liability of its members, and the maximum amount of total capital, share capital of the company, denomination into number of shares, and division into shares. That is specified in the MOU of the company. And the articles of association, it focuses more on internal regulations, internal policy making, internal management of the company, management internal affairs of the company, and the rights and powers of the shareholders. That is mentioned in the A of the company. The appointment and removal of directors, voting procedures, and dividend distributions. That is mentioned in the MOU of the A of the company. That defines your scope, that defines your domain, that defines your boundaries, your limitations, your area, for which you are dealing with, which you are focusing on. So your EOA only provides these type of information about the internal regulations, about your rights, about your powers, about the appointment procedures, removal of directors, voting procedures. They are voting by show of hands, by saying yes or no, or by voting by ballot papers, voting by poll. So there are certain voting procedures are there. Video conferencing is there, voting by video conferencing is also there, online voting is there. So, and dividend distribution is there, dividend distribution to the preferential shareholders and to the equity shareholders. Only if there is a profit, dividend distributed among the equity shareholders. Even in the case of losses, company will not distribute dividend. Company will only distribute dividend in the case of profits. Then difference between MOA and AOA, that is an alteration on the basis of alteration. So alteration means any alteration which is required in your objectives of the company, in your name of the company, capital of the company, association clause of the company. For that you have to pass a special resolution and file a copy of special resolution with the ROC, the altered MO. You have to submit a copy of altered MO along with the notice of the meeting, along with the minutes of the meeting, copy of the minutes of the meeting, signed by the members, common seal of the company, affixed to the common seal of the company, and that is required. That is required to be submitted to the ROC of the company. The copy of altered MO. Otherwise, it is not bind on you. Otherwise, it is not liable for that particular change, and change is not acceptable unless until it is altered. So you have to make alteration in your MOA. If you want to change your name of the company, you have to first alter your MOA, and for the purposes of alteration, you have to conduct a meeting. You have to take approval from the shareholders, and in that approval, you have to pass a special resolution. At least 70% of majority should be with in the favor of change of name. Then only you can change the name of the company. Otherwise, it is not changed. It is not acceptable unless it is passed in the shareholders meeting. So meeting has to be conducted, and this matter has to be passed in the meeting, and the minutes of the meeting has to be prepared, and copy of the minutes has to be submitted to the ROC along with the notice, along with the minutes of the meeting, to make changes in MOA of the company, and that makes an MOA altered. We call it as an altered MOA. Then come to the articles registration. The articles can be altered by passing ordinary resolution in a general meeting of the shareholders, and changes usually relate to internal management matters and can be more easily modified as per the company needs. As per the needs of the company, you can modify it, but you have to inform. You have to inform, you have to intimate to your members, notify to your members that we are going to change this agenda in the meeting. We are going to discuss this in a meeting, and then only you can change. Otherwise, change is not possible. Then meaning of share capital. The capital of a company, let's say capital of a company or capital of a company is divided into number of indivisible units of a fixed amount. So this is share capital means the whole capital of the company divided into a number of shares, and for this division of shares we have to issue share capital so that the general public can subscribe to the share capital of the company by purchasing shares of the company. So it is an indivisible units because we cannot divide units of a fixed amount, that is a share capital. But we divided into number of shares, total amount of share capital. We divided into number of shares, like 100 shares of rupees 10 each. Okay, that makes a capital of rupees uh, 1,000 share capital. Okay, so the capital of a company, again I am speaking, capital of a company is divided into number of indivisible units of a fixed amount, and these units are known as shares. These units are known as shares, like uh, 1,000 shares of rupees 10 each. That becomes 10,000. Then come to the as per section 2, section 84 of the Companies Act 2013, a share is a share into the share capital of a company including stock. Okay, the share means the share capital of the company, but that is divided into number of shares in which the general public can subscribe into the share capital of the company by purchasing the shares of the company from the share market. So it including stock also, the share capital of the company including stock. And by share in the company is meant not any sum of money but an interest measured by sum of money made up of diverse rights conferred on its holders by the articles of the company and which constitute a contract between him and the company. By purchasing a share of the company, you make a contract with the company and the shareholder. So after purchasing a share of the company, you become the shareholder of the company, and after purchasing shares, you have a share certificate with yourself. You obtain a share certificate from the company after purchasing shares of the company, and that defines your relationship with the company as a shareholder of the company. Now, after purchasing shares, after obtaining certificate of share, now you are a shareholder of the company, and this form a relationship between the company and you, and that gives you certain rights and privileges to be a shareholder of the company. You have certain rights to receive dividend, a right to receive notice of the general meeting of the company, right to receive notice of right to receive the minutes of the meetings of the company, copy of minutes of the meetings of the company, right to inspect books of accounts of the company, and right to vote in the company meetings. And there are certain rights available to you only after becoming a shareholder, not before. And for availing that particular rights and benefits and privileges, you have to be a shareholder of the company, and for that you have to purchase a share in the company, you have to invest into the company, then you can establish a relationship between your company and you, and it's a contract between you and company. Then come to the kinds of share capital. Basically, there are two types of share capital, which we are mainly discussing is equity share capital and preferential capital. Equity share capital is generated by raising of funds from the investors, and preferential capital is obtained by the issuance of preference shares. Then kinds of share capital. Share capital can be classified as authorized, issued, subscribed, called up, and paid up share capital. This is a classification of share capital on the basis of authorized share capital, issued share capital, subscribed share capital, called up share capital, paid up share capital. This is a classification of share capital into these categories on the basis of amount paid by the shareholders. If it is fully paid up shares, then paid up share capital is there. If it is called up amount is there. Final call is there. First call is there. So called up amount is this, paid up amount is this, issued is this, subscribed is this. So this is again a classification of share capital on these bases. Authorized share capital issued, from authorized we issued only this much. Authorized is 1 crore, but we issue only 10 lakhs. So issued is important. So issued, then only we can subscribe into the shares of the company, and is a called up amount by the company, then paid up amount in the shares capital of the company, how much amount paid by the shareholders of the company, and how much amount not paid by shareholders of the company. That is mentioned in the books of the company. Share capital. So this is classification: share capital, authorized share capital, issued share capital, subscribed share capital, called up share capital, and paid up share capital. And from an accounting point of view, the share capital of the enterprise can be categorized as follows. Authorized capital is the amount of share capital within which a company is allowed to issue its memorandization, because you have to specify your capital in the capital clause of the MOU of the company, the amount of authorized share capital of the company, and the company is not supposed to raise more than that amount of capital as mentioned in the MOU of the company. Then issued capital. Issued capital is that portion of authorized capital which is usually actually issued by the company to the general public for the subscription into the shares or debentures of the company. It is that portion of the authorized capital which is usually circulated to the public for subscription, comprising share assigned to the merchant, the endorsers to the enterprise memorandum. The authorized capital which is not offered for public consent is called as unissued capital. It's not offered for subscription to general public is called as unissued capital. And again, subscribed capital. Subscribed capital is referred to as part of issued capital also. That is subscribed by the company, investors. After issued capital is different, subscribed capital is different. How much general investors subscribe into the shares of the company. It is the actual amount of capital that is investors have taken. That is subscribed capital of the company, which is actually subscribed by the investors into the company. Then called up capital. Called up capital is the amount of share capital that the shareholders own and are yet to be paid as called up capital, and it is that part of the share capital that the company calls for payment. So called up amount, which company calls for the first call amount, second call amount, final call amount. That is the amount which company calls from the shareholders of the company, or investors of the company, to be paid after every call. Then alteration of share capital, in which the company which had decided for increasing its capital, you have to change, you have to alter your capital clause of MOU of the company to make alteration in share capital, authorized share capital. If you want to issue beyond the authorized share capital, you have to make your alteration in your memorandum of of the company, and this you have to inform to the ROC of the company. Alteration in your capital, share capital of the company, as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013. Then procedure for alteration of share capital. Number one procedure is to have to check your authority in articles. Authority to alteration is possible or not. If it is mentioned in article section, then only you can alter. Alteration is allowed in your A of the company, then only you can alter. Otherwise, you cannot alter. So alteration to be allowed, then only you can alter. Otherwise, you cannot alter your articles association. Then board resolution for authorizing alteration in share capital and amendment in memorandum association have to resolution has to be passed for alteration in share capital if it is authorized by articles. Then you have to pass a resolution in board meeting for the alteration in share capital, authorized share capital, and make an amendment in MOA also, because you have to alter your MOA as per the uh, board meeting, as per the authority, as per the conclusions of the board meeting. You have to alter your MOA of the company, and you have to alter your authorized share capital in the MOA of the company. So for this, you have to conduct a meeting for alteration, and that meeting is to be authorized for alteration by AOA. Otherwise, you cannot alter. If AOA is not authorized to you, you cannot alter your AOA, MOA, share capital. So for increasing in your share capital, any alteration, any changes in your share capital, you have to obtain approval from, you have to make alteration first in your AOA. If it is not authorized, you have to make alteration in your AOA, altered AOA. Then you can alter your share capital, and you have to make amendments in MOA of the company and submit a copy of amended MOA AOA to the registrar of companies. And then board resolution for alteration articles, if share capital clause is not mentioned, I've already mentioned, you have to make a resolution for alteration in articles as well if it is not authorized to alter your authorized capital. Then you have to make alteration in AOA first, then you make an alteration in MOA. Then ordinary resolution for authorizing alteration in share capital and amendment in MOA of the company. So in case of alteration in MOA, a special resolution has to be passed. But in case of alteration in AOA, ordinary resolution has to be passed for the alteration in AOA. So for alteration in share capital, the company which has decided for increasing its capital first needs to check the existing authorized share capital, because the company cannot issue the shares beyond authorized. Okay, so you have to check the authorized share capital. Then we can increase the issued amount. And if you want to increase the authorized share capital, then we have to increase the authorized share capital. So therefore, issuing the shares is required to increase the authorized share capital by altering the MOA of the company. And the company having the share capital authorized by the AOA can alter the share capital of the company and by following the procedures as per the Companies Act 2013. So articles must authorize you for the alteration of your share capital. If it is not authorized you, then you have to make alteration in your articles. Then you have to conduct a meeting for alteration in articles for authorizing you for alteration in your MOA of the company, capital clause of the company, and then you have to submit a copy of altered MOA and altered AOA to the ROC. Then procedure for alteration of share capital. Number one procedure is you have to check authority in article session, which we already discussed. Board resolution has to be passed for amendment in MOA of the company. Board resolution has to be passed for alteration in articles of the company to increase its share capital, and ordinary resolution has to be passed for alteration in share capital in the articles association and MOA of the company. Then procedure for alteration of share capital. A special resolution has to be passed in article session for the alteration of share capital if it is specifically mentioned in AOS for the alteration. Then E-Form SH7 for notice to registrar for alteration of share capital within 30 days of approval, along with a copy of ordinary special resolution, altered MOA, altered article association if altered, and a copy of order of central government tribunal working for the calculation ratio in case of convergence if applicable. So you have to submit a copy within 30 days. a copy within 30 days, along with a copy of special resolution or resolution which has been passed by the company, along with a copy of altered MOA, altered AOA, and copy of order of central government tribunal. Tribunal is a national company law tribunal, and working for the calculation ratios in case of conversion, if you want to convert yourself, if applicable. This is form is E-form is there. E-form SH7 for notice to registrar. You have to fill that form to intimate or to inform the registrar about the alteration of a share capital within 30 days. You have to inform within 30 days of approval of members. That members approve this in the general meetings, shareholders meeting for the alteration of share capital and submit a copy of ordinary resolution and special resolution to the ROC of the company, along with a copy of the order of the central government or national company law tribunal in cases of conversions if applicable. Then reduction of share capital. Reduction of share capital means reduction of issued, subscribed, and paid share capital of the company. This is a reduction of share capital. If you want to reduce your share capital, not increase. So reduction was governed by Section 100 in US Act, Companies Act, Section 100 to 104 is a block of section. Section 100 to 104 is a block of section that deals with the reduction of share capital as per the previous Companies Act 1956, but now it is governed by Section 66 of the Companies Act 2013. That is reduction in share capital, reduction in your issued capital, subscribed capital, and paid share capital. But as per the old Act means previous Companies Act 1956, it was subjected to the confirmation of the High Court, but under new Act, the new Act is New Companies Act 2013, the powers of High Court has been transferred to NCLT. Earlier it is CLB, earlier it is Company Law Board, now it is NCLT, National Company Law Tribunal, or Law Tribunal you can say, NCLAT, National Company Law Appellate Tribunal is there. So now this power is conferred, transferred to NCLT or NCLT. Earlier it is CLB is here, Company Law Board is here, and now it is NCLT is here to transfer the power to NCLT. Then buyback of shares, redemption of preference shares, also reduction of share capital, but governed by specific provisions under the Act. And such reduction in form of buyback redemption does not require section's approval from the tribunal. Tribunal means National Company Law Tribunal. So any reduction in buyback of shares or any reduction in preference shares, that of share capital, but it should be governed. It should be governed. Any reduction should be governed as per the provisions of the Companies Act 2013, and the form of buyback, in the form of redemptions. But such reductions in the form of buyback and redemptions do not require sanctions or permissions, you can say, from National Company Law Tribunal.